Welcome back, baseball fans, to another elimination video. We're eliminating the New York Yankees, who just had a strange season, finishing 19-22 with some outstanding stats mixed in here with confounding results. They scored 184 runs. They gave up 174 runs. They hit .283, one of the best hitting teams in the league. A very respectable .368 earned run average. And trying to piece this thing together, I found something kind of disturbing here. Look at these batting averages at the top, starting with Chambliss, Matic, Locklear, 368, 359, 352, 347. Okay. How in the heck he got six guys hitting 300, well over 300, hitting 283, but it's dragging the average down to 283. So somebody's got to be dragging it down. And I'm looking at the number of at-bats at the bottom, and there's three guys there. Willie Randolph, Thurman Munson, Greg Nettles. Who plays in the 1976 World Series? Yep, those guys. Okay. At the top, Elliot Maddox? No. Gene Locklear? No. Bobby Mercer? No. Roy White? No. So this does not bode well when the guys who are supposed to be leading this club and the Yankee captains in there somewhere are awful. Here's another note. You see the averages for Nettles and Munson, 221 and 189. I'm going to poke back a year ago because I got last year's info here for the Yankees. So last year, Munson at 231 with 2 homers and 17 RBIs. Nettles at 216 with 1 homer and 11 RBIs. So it's 2 lousy years in a row. So if you believe in that sort of thing, maybe next year will be great for those guys. Chris Chambliss, 368, was in the All-Star game a year ago. He didn't go this year because they had such a losing record that we only sent Mercer. But as a first baseman, no homers and 23 RBIs. If Bobby Mercer's played his final season in New York, it was brilliant. 347, 731. My goodness, Bobby. Locklear, if you're wondering, with that 75 card, it was actually a Padres card, but he gets traded to the Yankees in 76. He hit 339 with it last year, hitting 352 with it this year. They're lucky to have that card for 2 more years. They got Elliot Maddox card coming back for 1 more year. That's good. And we talked about Fred Kendall in that ridiculous series against Ohio. He hit 304. Now the pitching. So the bullpen failures are immense. So Sparky Lyle was 1-4 with an ERA of 4. Fred Bean had 3 wins, but an ERA of 4.79. Fred Sherman 4.95. Dick Tidrow was 1-2. Doc Medich and Lenny McDaniel did a nice job at the back end of the rotation. And trading for Claude Osteen was kind of a so-so scenario. Not a big deal there. Stottlemyre, and what could be his last year, just 3-5. So with that, let's take a look at the Yankee stack of players and figuring out, you know, what's going on with the Yankees. Well, where are we? I mean, you got to, you know, a really old stadium, a renovated stadium. They play in Shea Stadium 1 year, and then they go to a World Series in 76. Where the heck are we here? You know, guys? So 3 hitters they're going to have to figure out what to do with, and it's going to be 5 pitchers they're going to figure out what to do with. So this is how they're going to start next year. This is that Locklear card. They made a DH. He sort of was the replacement for Ron Blomberg, if you want to consider a left-handed, you know, DH type. And a nice one. That's a nice year for Locklear, was a Padre. I think he was also part of the Kendall trade. Chambliss at first. He's at fine, one of his best years in New York. Randolph's rookie year, Double-A stealer, 2 defense, that's fine. Nettles, your 76 home run champ, that's okay. You got your choice of shortstop between Gene Michael and Fred Stanley. That's slightly below average, but at least you got 2 guys there. Roy White brings a high on-base percentage and no defense to the left field. Elliot Maddox is a top 10 MVP votes in 74, and then Marv Lane is sort of the defense for Roy White. So that's 9 hitters. And so you basically, all you have to do is figure out which year catcher you want for Munson, and do you bring Bobby Mercer back or not. The pitching. They bring back none of their starting pitchers. None are coming back. They got 2 lefty relievers, Sherman and Lyle, with Tidrow sandwiched in between. 3 relief pitchers for the Yankees. No starting pitching. So that is going to be the #1 focus in the offseason for the Yankees. And we'll find out, who do they keep, waive, and retire. All right, the first guy they have to look about is Fred Kendall, who really wasn't associated with the Yankees. He was a nice little acquisition, though. Probably shouldn't have been available, because you can see in '73, he had 551 plate appearances for the Padres, and somehow they went into a different direction at catcher. And in '74, 5, 6, and 7, he's reasonable. He's got some full seasons in there. He can go on waivers as well. He could be a trade chip. You can keep him. You can do anything. All possibilities are open with this guy. However, these are the Yankees, right? And he it worked for what you brought him in, and he produced. Of course, your team stunk. So let's trade him, of course. What's going to happen is no one wants him when you offer him in a trade, and then you'll have to put him on waivers. Next player, Munson. Well, duh. He's the MVP of '76, I believe. Let's just verify that. Though I don't think that's the best card of the decade for him, if I was making the argument here. For the Yankee captain. Yeah, your '76 MVP and Rookie of the Year in '70. But the year we just had in '73, I really like this year. The power, the average, and the throwing arm. He's a -3 throwing arm. And now, when something happens to his arm, I think he gets into a collision at home plate. He's never the best thrower of the ball again. '75, it's 318, 795. He's actually better in '75 than his MVP season of '76. But that's a choice they have plenty of time to figure out. Also, if you believe in war, it was 7.2 in '73. It goes to 6.6 in '75 and falls to 5.3 in '76 to prove the points I was trying to make there. So they'll figure it out. They'll pick 75 or 76 for Thurman. Which leaves the third and final hitter to look at, Mr. Bobby Mercer. This could be a fascinating part of the offseason. He could be one of the key pieces to keep, move, trade, and trade to where, or keep and say, why not let Bobby play for the Yankees and get some World Series rings with Reggie Jackson in right field next to him? Where's the harm in that? So let's just kind of take some time here with Mr. Bobby Mercer. 5 consecutive All-Star games, right? So he's got another All-Star game with the Yankees in '74. That's grounds enough to keep him, because he's still a Yankee in '74. So unless you want to swerve out of your lane and come up with a crazy scenario to trade him, you hold on to him, because you got a '74 year. Now '75, the Yankees could also take these stats that the Giants have as an All-Star. Because you'll often see in our league, we have a tendency to keep our guys on teams a little bit longer than they should be before they move along in trades. We saw this with Fergie Jenkins, still with the Cubs. We've seen it with some others. So I think the Yankees have, I don't think he's going to the Giants or Cubs this offseason. Eventually that may happen, and then he returns to the Yankees by '79 anyway. I mean, doesn't it seem kind of weird that he leaves when the Yankees are successful? And I'm of the opinion that he is such a great player. I like to see him get some of that Yankee success. I just might make a historical switch here and put him on the Bronx Zoo. So instead of Mickey Rivers. That's really high on my list. He's 28 years old. He's right in his prime in '74. Now, look at the WAR numbers drop significantly, though. 6.5, 8.2, 5.1, and then he never comes close to any of those again. Well, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Mostly, if he's a 2 or better, if he can outfield Mickey Rivers, which is setting the bar awful low, if he can become a better defensive fielder, center fielder than Mickey Rivers, I'm more inclined to keep him playing center field for the Yankees with that. So, glad I did the dive there. Yeah, he's coming back. Now the pitching. All these guys are most likely gone. And they're going to have to do some free agency. They're going to have to start spending some of George's money and find a pitching staff. Ed Figueroa is in Florida. Mike Torres is in Oakland. Oh, yeah, you can pry those guys away. Strat-O-Matic has 1 more year in 74. He's only got 113 innings. They're good innings, though. He's fine. He's fine in that year. However, I'm of the opinion, they're going to make that Strat card, by the way. They should at least. Let's double check that. Yeah, he's on there. I'm of the opinion that they don't necessarily announce him as a keeper, but they got a handshake agreement which says, if you pass through waivers, we want you back. And I think he'll probably go through waivers because he'll just simply be a right-handed pitcher with only 1 year left in his career, and that's not necessarily desirable. Had he pitched 200 innings, it might have been. Next guy, Claude Osteen. Claude was property of the Dodgers in Houston during this time, and the Yankees went out and got him, mostly because they were trying to get Tommy John, and they couldn't land Tommy. Claude still has some juice left. Look at 75. He's with the White Sox. Ooh, 1.6 whip isn't good. 74, 150. Yeah, he's not associated with the Yankees. He'll get waivers in 74. He goes on waivers. Again, you got to make a smash. I mean, these in theory, Steinbrenner's owned this team for like 2 or 3 years now. You've got to make a splash in this offseason. Doc Medich. Speaking of Docs, Doc Ellis might be available in a trade in the offseason. Catfish Hunter could be available. Not, but he could be. Just saying. Here's Doc Medich, who was with the Yankees through 75. 74 and 75, he pitches on 3 days rest. Yeah, you gotta keep somebody. So they're gonna keep Medich. Is that 4 keepers? Yeah, that's 4. How locked in are we? We're locked into Munson, Mercer, and now Medich. We don't need to lock in Kennel, but at least he's a trade chip. He's got value. These guys don't really have too much value. Lindy McDaniel. He should be running out of juice. How many Lindys are there? Just 1. Long 20-year career for Lindy McDaniel, starting to wind down. 74. He's still reasonable. You could keep him. Again, he leaves the Yankees after 73. You could trade him to Kansas City for Lou Piniella. But that requires keeping him, and you already have guys you want to keep. Well, no, you don't. You have a spot, do you not? Because it's got to be 74, by the way. You don't want to keep Fred Kendall. So let's say we keep McDaniel, and then we just trade him for Lou Piniella or something like that between the Royals. And lastly, Fred Bean. The other thing that's valuable right now for the Yankees is that all 7 guys have some juice left in them. There's no retirees, which is good news. That means you actually will have teams calling you for at least 1 or 2 of these guys, as there'll be plenty of guys on the retired list. Fred Bean has a fantastic 73, and that'll pretty much do it. He's got another year, I believe. Maybe a couple more years. Yeah, that was a great 73 card we just used. 103 whip, .168 ERA. 74, they make that card, and it's not very good. Actually, look at the whip. I didn't realize the whip is 126. ERA is high. That's usually the sign of home runs, and there they are, 8 and 83 innings. Well, he's with the Yankees and he's with Cleveland, but mostly with Cleveland. Does he have a Strat card with Cleveland? Or the Yankees? He's got a Strat card with Cleveland. Let's put him on waivers too. There you go. So the Yankees find value with all 8 of their players. Realistically, it's Munson, Mercer, Medich, McDaniel, quadruple M's, the 4 Musketeers. Yeah, those are the guys you keep. Unless you want to trade McDaniel and get Lou Piniella out of it. Lou Piniella would be a piece of that World Series team, would he not? He could go into right field or left field. Roy White could go to DH. Of course, you don't really need Lou Piniella. You got Locklear. You got Locklear, Roy White, Elliot Maddox, Bobby Mercer. So you don't really need Piniella. I don't even think the Yankees needed Piniella, but they had him anyway. But yeah, that's the off season. Hey, the thing to say here is that this is talent. I mean, they've got stuff. They have stuff to think that they can finally get past Baltimore and Boston in the American League East. That's it today for eliminating the New York Yankees. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.